Hi everybody, I'm Nicole, and today is day 1 of sewing for my future kids.
Hi, future Nicole here. So I just wanted to chime in really quick. I don't know what was going through my mind that day that I decided to film a video while having a fever. The energy in the video is a bit low at the beginning. The energy definitely gets better towards the end. Feel free to skip this part or, just sit and watch it and see me get better.
Some background, I've been learning how to sew for the last year, maybe like scattered around throughout my lifetime. There's been opportunities that I've learned a little bit, but I really dedicated a lot more time last year in 2024. But this year, I want to make it a goal that I sew an entire wardrobe for my future kids. I really want to take the opportunity of this time in my life where I'm not really dedicated to having my own family yet, and just use it as a time of preparation where I can start sewing and learn the basics and apply that towards an end goal being sewing a wardrobe for my future kids. I just want to bring you guys along for the journey. I think it'd be such a fun process to document all of it, just showing you how I create the pattern. I go from making it from a pattern to sewing the actual garment. I think documenting that is going to be so wholesome and also such a big learning experience because I still consider myself a beginner with all of this, and just maybe putting out there the mistakes that I make and just kind of showing a very raw, unfiltered video of the whole process might inspire others to, I don't know, kind of do the same thing, to also just dive right in with a new hobby, whether it is sewing or something completely different. But I think the goal of this is just to first document it, and then second, to inspire others that you too can also create things and make your hobby a fulfilling one. Now that I got that out of the way, let's get to making. I'm slightly sick, but we're getting this video done. So my idea with all of this is that I'll be posting like one video a day. I don't know if that's realistic, but that's the goal. And so I'll be posting like a vlog style of what I do, what I end up doing, mistakes, everything. So you'll just see the whole process of me figuring this out. I want to start with something pretty simple. I was thinking maybe just like a t-shirt, because that's something pretty basic that both a boy or a girl could wear. Specifically, I'm thinking more so like an undershirt, like a tank top undershirt. And I think that would probably work for both pretty easily. And it's very simple. So, or at least I think it's very simple. I did have a pattern, a very old pattern from the 50s that I attempted making a slip dress from, but I never finished that. I did learn a lot from that, actually. I learned how to make, I think it's called French seam, and just overall pattern making, not pattern making, just sewing using a pattern. And I have it up there actually. But I was thinking maybe using the slip dress as like my pattern and just kind of cutting the part where it becomes a dress and like kind of adjusting a little bit, because it's more so like an A-line type of pattern. Or just use like a onesie. Thinking maybe just tracing that out. We'll see. I did have an attempt that I'd made. So this is a pattern that I was talking about with the A-line slip style dress. You can kind of see it here. Very cute. And so I traced the original pattern using some tracing paper, so I didn't have to cut it up, but it's this one for the front and then this one for the back. My thought was just, folding up a bit and then creating the shirt like that, and then maybe straightening up this seam here so it's more so like more fitted rather than like a A-line, which I think is a little more girly, but it can also work for boy. I don't know, just preference. Yeah, so that's what I did. I simply traced that using some cardboard paper. So it's literally like a roll of cardboard. If there's anything you should invest in, I think this would be a great idea. I actually don't remember how much it cost. It didn't cost that much when I bought it, but this was years ago, so I'm not sure. Yeah, I would get that, and then one of these rulers. There's a lot more tools that I would totally recommend, but I guess I'll just recommend them as I use them instead of just kind of throwing them out there on the screen for you guys and being like, it's in my store. Anyway, I think this is I labeled one. Okay, front. This is front, this is back. So the main difference is that the front kind of has these little tabs, which I feel like the back should have it too. But in this pattern, they make you add like an extra piece of fabric to create the back one. And I don't know why they decided to do that. Maybe it's like an option. I don't know. But let me show you how. This is my attempt at the slip dress, which is not done yet. But let me reposition the camera. So you can see here, this is what I was talking about, this little piece of fabric here and here. So on the front one, they have it so that you just fold it over and it creates this look to it. But then on the back one, it's totally different. I don't know if it's so it's more reinforced or whatnot, but I haven't made the hole for this yet. Yeah, so in the end, it'll look like this. Honestly, I'm not sure about much of a fan of how this kind of opens like this, but maybe when the baby's wearing it, it's not that bad. Or I can add 2 buttonholes and it would limit that flipping here. In terms of my pattern, you see how it kind of fans out like this? My pattern would just be more so like a straight t-shirt like that. Or that's the plan. So it's really cute. Like it has like all this seam. I don't know how I did this. I honestly wish I could remember how I did projects. Like when you're doing it, you feel like you become an expert. Spend all that time fixing your mistakes. And then you put the pattern to the side and come back to it later and you're once again a beginner. Anyway, front, as you can see, I think this has a 5/8 inch seam included already. And I need to iron it out. So this is what happens. And if you didn't know, you can iron cardboard paper. It's my back piece. So as you can tell, it has like less fabric here, but we'll just follow the pattern. I'm not going to make edits because I find that when I do that, I just get stuck and I never finish the project. So that's what we're going to do. Let's go and iron this. Okay, I'm just going to turn on my iron. And it's actually really good. It has not failed me at all. And I've been using it for a while now. So I have the steam function on and it's on max heat. I'll probably lower it. But it worked. Maybe it shrinks. Who knows? Let's try this again. So it kind of did like that. You can just do like this. It kind of folded where the 5/8 inch seam should be. And then just iron it on the other side too. It has to be flat. I think this is pretty good for. Okay, you guys are probably really bored of watching me iron, so let's cut to a different scene now. Now that I got these pattern pieces, let's bring it back here. And I'm gonna get some of my thrifted fabric. If you guys haven't thrifted your fabric, you should, because that's honestly like the cheapest way to get fabric. And by thrifting fabric, it doesn't have to be like, you know, brand new fabric. You can just get like bed sheets. I've been able to score a few brand new fabrics, which has been really nice. But I also have like bed sheets, which I've cut up now, but just scraps. However, for this project, I really want to just make it like a gender neutral color and something that won't show underneath their clothes. So like a very light color would work. So like a white or a baby blue, like that slip dress. This is kind of my little graveyard corner because I recently took stuff out to make an Instagram reel and things did not make it back into their appropriate spots. But they will, just not right now. So yeah, I have this baby blue. I really like this one. I think blue, right? The blue is really cute. And it's pretty nice color. Let's take this. This is my little workshop. It's just like an old cabinet that I adapted to make a little side table. That was fun. I do have a reel on Instagram about that. Very short, but it was a fun little project and it works so great. because I honestly just hold all my essentials in one place, and got a little table, and I have this tiny little chair. Ignore my mess. This tiny little chair that I thrifted a long time ago. So first things first, we gotta iron this. I won't let you guys suffer through the process of ironing fabric again. But the thing I am gonna do is that whenever I'm gonna cut my fabric on, like, I'm gonna fold it in half and then lay these two patterns on top and then just trace. Because as long as my fabric is also folded, right? And then I trace it, when I open up the piece of fabric, it's gonna be even on both sides and it's already cut. I don't have to trace the entire page like that. So I'm gonna go and iron the fabric first. Okay, so I placed it here. Now I'm gonna bring my pattern pieces and start cutting it out, tracing it, and then cutting it out. This is the front piece. I'm just gonna clip them to the side so that it doesn't move while I trace it, just to make sure that's always in place. You can also pin it, but I always put the pin in my finger, and after so many times you kind of just don't want that to happen anymore. Clipping is a great alternative. Just gotta make sure that you're clipping correctly and that your fabric is laying flat. So here I sharpen my little water-soluble pencil, which I think is just chalk. And I'm just gonna trace it. Just make sure the fabric doesn't kind of like bunch up as you're dragging this over, because it tends to do that sometimes. And I wish I had like clips that I can put tension across this table and just clip my fabric down. That might be a good investment, actually. Do the top part and curve. I feel like if you can do like one fast motion, the pencil works a lot better. You go like that rather than like trying to scribble. But that's pretty good. So that's my front. So now that I have that, I want to conserve as much fabric as possible. Well, I could make like another part there, but maybe I can just fold over one side. We'll see. So let's first take this out and we can cut this one out. I got my sewing machine secondhand, and the amazing lady gave me all the accessories that came with it. So I have these what are they called? Ginger scissors. Like, I don't know what this is, but it's got a cute little angel. Look how adorable that is. Cute little angel. But yeah, so these are fancy fabric scissors, and if you're gonna start sewing, you might as well invest in some good fabric scissors, because you do not want to be struggling with cutting fabric. That will make your fabric fray, and you will struggle and not have fun during the times that should be easy. So I'll probably just sacrifice this side, to be honest. So now I'm just going to cut out these pieces here, and then we'll move on to making the back. I like keeping the little scraps like that because I can do test stitches on them. Since every fabric is different, it's going to behave differently under the same tensions. It's always nice to have a piece of fabric that is the fabric that you're going to be sewing on from the garment, so that you can also test how the settings are going to look like. So you saw how like I folded it right on so there you get like half and half. Cool, right? But this is my original pattern piece, and you can see that like it definitely coincides there, but you see how I made this part straight rather than A-line. So, and now we'll do the back. So again, I'm going to fold it in half, and then I'm going to look for a place on here that I can do it like this, and then clip it on again. So I use these clips. They were like maybe $6, I don't know. Amazon, they do not buy them at Joann's. Joann's is way too expensive for these clips, and while you may think there might be a quality difference, it's literally the exact same thing. If you ever shop at Joann's, Use the coupons. You are meant to use the coupons. There's nothing in there that you are meant to buy full price, which is kind of the story for every store. Now I'm going to get my chalk pencil again. This one. Water soluble blue. They have it in white too. It just depends what color fabric you're using. Let's start cutting. And let me bring y'all closer. Let's just cut this. There we go. Got this piece done. Like that. Just that piece. And there. So you can see that. Looks good. So I'll clip this one to here. And then we'll go and draw our seam allowances. Since this is based on that pattern, I'm just going to copy those seam allowances over. Well, let's put this back here. So we got our pattern pieces. Now what I'm going to do is bring the seam allowances onto my pattern pieces. So what I'm going to use is, I'm going to use the measuring gauge, which is so useful because it has literally all your possible seam allowances. I'm just going to be doing that all around, like literally all around it. So now that I know that it's 5/8, this part you can also just use your yellow stick. Let's call it the yellow stick because I cannot remember the name. 5/8 of an inch. Since this is 1/8 of an inch every time, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 5. So 4 is the middle, and then one more over is 5. So if I align that across all of these things, making sure the edge of my garment's there, that should be a very quick 5/8 inch. Let's do that. So you see how the fabric bunches up? I don't know how to avoid that yet. So if you guys have any suggestions, there we go. And this gauge is very useful for the curves, so I'm going to use that there. But for now, I'm going to just draw it across. I think it had, let's make sure. Oh, no, it just went all the way up. So, oh, I had a fold line. Oops. Let's maybe mark the fold line. I think the fold line is just like this corner here. So, yeah, that's an inch. So technically it should have been, oh, like here. It should have been there. So always measure before you just go ahead and, not measure. Let's do the curves now. So that's 5/8 of an inch. I'm going to be using this thing to just mark 5/8 everywhere. So, like a little dot, and then that way I can just trace it after. Fit to the curve. Like a little polynomial. Connecting the dots. Oops. Yeah, my dot kind of went the wrong way. There you go. And then one more 5/8 inch. Let's do one here. And then there was another 5/8 inch on this side, on this curve. So put it right there. For some reason this just does not look like 5/8. Oh, guys, I'm using the wrong side. Oh man. Well, see, at one point you start kind of understanding what each measurement should look like, so you can eyeball it. You'll be like, oh, that does not look right. And then you'll realize it was just the wrong measurement the whole time. So your intuition, always trust your intuition on these things. That's what will really, I think will bring you success in this stuff. Yeah, like this. So the 5/8 is straight from here, like that. Scribble in. I'll interpolate between these dots. If you guys are a math nerd, you'll understand. So you have to do the other side. So you can kind of see it, the pressure kind of marks it for you. So you don't necessarily need to, but it definitely does help. Let's test this hypothesis. Hey, look, it's accurate, guys. We just saved ourselves a step. So each square is an inch here, and you can align it to these dots, and then you can just make sure it's an inch. So yeah, that was about an inch. Okay, so now that this is done, let's put this one to the side. Let's work with our second piece, which is literally the same thing. So This is the seam line, so that's where I'm going to be sewing, but it's 5/8 inch all the way around. Here, I think it's a lot smaller, so I think that's about 1/4 of an inch. Yeah, just about. We'll just do 1/4 of an inch there. That was getting the 2 pattern pieces, the front and the back, ready. There are 2 things that I really want to try with this before I continue. So I think the actual sewing I'm going to leave for tomorrow, but there are 2 things that I need to know how to do before I start sewing tomorrow. First one is I want to make, like, my sewing machine has like some pre-loaded, I don't know what they're called, but I'll just say like embroidery patterns, and they're pretty simple, but one of them is this really cute little duck. I was thinking I can make like maybe 3 ducklings or just 1 duckling, just depending how it looks. I want to put it like right in the center. So I figured that I should try that out on a scrap piece of fabric first, one of the ones that I have over here. And then the second thing that I need to try is remembering how to do French seams. I practiced here, but I figured I would practice it with you guys. I'm gonna practice again just to remember how to do the French seam, because I personally want to use French seams because I don't want the seam to be very bulky inside, that or itchy with any of the like threads exposed, and the French seam is kind of perfect for that because, so you can see it's like encased in here. So this is the inside. This would be the inside of the garment. And it just looks a lot more professional. I mean, ignore, these little things. But aside from that, I think it looks more professional. However, I don't want it to be this big. I probably want it to be like 1/4 of an inch of a French seam. Right now, I would say this is more like 1/8 of an inch. So, yeah, I need to make that a lot smaller. So for that to happen, basically I just have to move the other seam up, I think. I'm not sure, but we're gonna try it out. So let's figure this out together. So this is what I'm gonna be using just to test all those things out. So I'm just gonna do the French seam on one side. Let's choose the one I just cut right here. And the way that a French seam works is that you put the right sides facing away from each other, so wrong sides together. I'll put an R just to remember. Let's just say this is the right side. Right side. Put the right sides together. Maybe I should give it a press. It's fine. Okay. And what I'm gonna do is get my ruler. You always have like a little seam and a big seam that you have to mark. The big seam is gonna be like the final seam. So that's the one where you want to make as like the actual seam that you're using for the garment. Let's say I want to make, well, I'm using 5/8 of an inch, so I might as well do that, right? Just to see how it's going to end up. Test that out. I'm going to go and put it at the 5/8 of an inch mark. So let's mark that. And then, of course, there's going to be a smaller seam. Whatever the distance is between this seam and the line here, these 2 seams, that's what your French seam is going to end up being. Since it is 5/8 of an inch, I only want 1/4 of an inch to be my seam. Mark just 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch from my 5/8 inch line. Okay, so now that I have that, this line's not the straightest. There. So let me just, my sewing machine is like on standard. I think this sewing machine's from like the 90s. It's a Janome Memorycraft 4000. And that's it. I made our first stitch. This side's a little better. And then I'm gonna open up the seam like that, and I'm gonna iron it open, and then I'm going to go ahead and encase that seam in there. Okay, so I ironed it. Now I'm gonna make a stitch along the stitch line here that I drew. And that's gonna encase that seam. So I ironed it, right? It looks like this. Then I ironed it flat like that. And like that. I ironed it closed, and then after I ironed it closed, now I'm gonna do that stitch on top. And then just stitch it. Okay, and I'm gonna press it open. So the thing to remember is that, remember the R, right? Well, it's not encased in there. But this is the inside of my garment. So I'm gonna iron it now, and the inside's gonna look like this. So it's gonna look nice and nice and concealed. Yeah. So I'm gonna press this one. Okay, so this is the final result. So this is the inside of the garment. This is your French seam. So as you can see, like all the raw edges are encased in there. And then I just wrote this for my personal reference just now and polished it a bit. But yeah, so it ends up looking like this on the outside, and then the inside looks like this. And I think this is great, especially for baby clothes, because it doesn't keep that raw edge. It's not going to be itchy. It's going to hold up really well. And most of all, it looks professional. So I think this is what we're going with. Now, the next thing that I want to try is that embroidery, and I'm going to try it on this scrap piece of fabric. However, I do not remember how to use that setting, so we're going to have to figure it out. I always recommend to get your and by always, I just say this because I recommend it to myself. Like, it's just, I don't know. I don't even know who I'm recommending this to other than you guys right now. But I like putting my manual inside a binder because it's just easy and quick to go and reference how to do certain things. So let's try and find it. Pretty sure I documented myself a long time ago because I figured this out and I was really excited. But I don't remember where that video is and how long ago it was, so might as well just look for it again. This is foot F. Maybe if I put the pattern in, it'll tell me what foot to use. I'm trying to show. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, but this is the duck. Right there. Okay, so if I want to do the duck, it's number 76. So I'm gonna put that, I'm gonna key it in. So 7, 6, and it says foot F. So yeah, we were right, foot F. Now this is what I'm looking at. It says first, this is for combining patterns, and this is just for one time. And I'm just gonna do it one time. So click this button, which we're gonna click. Clicked. I think that's just the start of my code. And I'm gonna put memory, which I guess kind of like locks it in there. So mem is right here. Memory. And then I'm going to put the number of my pattern, which was 76, yeah. So 7, 6, and then I'm assuming you press memory again. I guess you press memory, and then you press this button again. So we get dot 76 dot, like that, and then memory again. So once that's in, I think I click memory again, and now it's locked in. So we're good there. And then I think we just simply press my foot, my sewing pedal. So let's try that out with this scrap piece of fabric. And I'm gonna mark just like an X to see how precise I can get it to where I would want it. Just gonna put the line of the X there. Maybe I dropped the needle? Okay, I guess I dropped the needle. And then I'm just gonna hold the foot down. It's working. There we go. I'll show you guys from closer. I can control the speed. And I think it just stopped. Is it done? Oh. No. That scared me. I just wasn't pressing the foot enough. That, or I'm just restarting the pattern. Oh, I guess every time it stops, and then I lift my foot, and then I press it again, it'll start a pattern again. Oh, that's cool. Okay, actually really cute. Look at that. They got little duckies. I'm not sure about my tension. It might be good. It's hard to tell with a white thread. I would have to have a different bobbin thread. Tell it definitely, where I placed it was not the right place. I'm gonna try that again and see how accurately I can get it. Pull more thread out. And there's like an arrow, but I don't know what that arrow means. Maybe just put it at the shadow, maybe? Okay, so needle down. I'm gonna do one with like alternating tensions. I'm gonna go as slow as possible. So once this one's done, I'm gonna change the tension and then press the pedal again. So I'm gonna go and change the tension to a 3. You can try this again. I think 3 was pretty good. But look how cute it looks. I think this looks so adorable, like right on the front of the chest. If I had yellow thread, that'd be really cute, which I do have yellow thread. Ooh. That or like a contrasting blue. I don't know. What should I do? This is the yellow. Now, what I've heard is that you're supposed to pull your thread out. So snip it. Don't pull it out like through here and make the thread go all the way back, because that can accumulate a lot of debris inside of the machine. That's what I've heard. Now, if you don't know, by the way, the spools have this little secret compartment that you can just open up and store your extra thread. And boom. Cool, right? Okay, my machine is threaded under over. So like this. Oh, and you know, make sure you add this thing to keep your spool in place. So I'll let you guys watch me thread my machine. Oh yeah, take out your thread this way. So pull it out through the needle, like so. Okay, so let's put this down below. Thread this down, and we're good to go. Let's try this again. Here. So I made my little cross hatch. I'm gonna align it with that shadow. I'm gonna go ahead and start my stitch. It still ended up working, so at least the method of aligning it in the right place worked. I like the blue thread. But the white thread's also cute because it's like not obviously a duck, but it's like a very subtle duck. This one's more so of an obvious duck. So I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to decide. Like, I think that's all I'm gonna do for today. We got the French seam figured out. Where is it? Oh, so we got the French seam figured out, which we need. We got the embroidery figured out, foot F, and it's like dot, number, dot, and memory in between. This is just for me to reference later. And I still have to decide what color I'm gonna make it, because I also have this blue that I could make like a contrasting stitch with, which might also look pretty cute. Actually, this might look the best, a little bit more classy. But the white's also pretty. I don't know. Well, anyway, we got this figured out. And then last but not least, we got the pattern pieces figured out. So I think in the next video, we'll do the embroidery, and then we'll do the French seams. I think. I gotta think about this a little bit more, because the collar part, if I remember correctly, they used bias tape. So we're gonna have to cut bias tape. That, and then like these little pocket things. So we'll see. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to be posting daily, so you'll probably see how this evolves over time. You'll just learn along with me and learn with my mistakes. And yeah, it's getting dark outside, so I'm just gonna go ahead and call it a day here. Subscribe. I also have an Instagram account. I share more so like baby fashion things on that side, and sometimes like a few of my projects. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed and it inspires you to also start sewing for your future kids. Bye.